I've spent the last few minutes creating a whole series of two-dimensional planes that represent some major features of the coal car of our little train. As you can see, I'm looking at my scene through the perspective view, and if I orbit around my scene here, yeah, check it out. They're just two-dimensional planes. They don't have any depth. They don't have a back to them. They're not true pieces of three-dimensional geometry. Now, I need to transform these two-dimensional elements into three-dimensional elements. And there's a whole series of tools inside of our 3D modeling applications that allow us to do that. But I want to begin by talking about the most universal one, the tool that all 3D modeling applications have in common, and it's called the extrude tool. Extrusion starts with a two-dimensional shape that will eventually kind of stretch and grow into a three-dimensional shape. Of course, everything must begin and end with a selection. I'm going to start by extruding out the top of my coal car here. So I'm in the polygonal selection mode. I've selected the top of my coal car, and now the extrusion tool will only affect this one selected piece. That's the big, kind of mantra, if you will, of working inside of Modo. Whatever is selected will be edited. If nothing is selected, everything will be edited. So let's go ahead and edit this one selected polygon. So with it selected, I can find the extrusion tool or the extrude tool over here in my basic toolbar, and it's right there. Here it is. There's the extrude tool, Shift X. FYI, the extrude tool actually shows up in a number of other locations inside of our scene. You'll find it over here in the polygon collection of tools. It's somewhere in here. I think it should be in here. Or as under Mesh Edit. It's under Mesh Edit, I apologize. So the basic tools are really nothing more than a collection of the all-stars, if you will. These are the tools that you're going to be using all the time, and notice that the extrude tool is one of them. So Mesh Edit is literally the exact same tool, so there is no difference in it. Let's go ahead and fire off the tool. Now with the now that we're editing geometry, we're not creating geometry, we're editing it. The editing tools allow us to, or require us to, apply the tool to the selected polygon. Now, we haven't done anything until we click, like I just did, inside of my three-dimensional scene. So when we're creating, we just left-click and drag and we create the geometry. However, now that we're editing it, we need to apply the tool to our scene by left-clicking in the viewport. And now almost all of the tools inside of Modo are going to give us these lovely action handles, these lovely tool handles that will do any number of things. But with the extrude tool, we get to determine the direction that we want to grow this two-dimensional shape into a three-dimensional shape. Now, I want to grow my little train here along the x-axis, so I'm going to grab the red handle and left-click and drag to the right. And you can see that now, check it out. Ta-da! Now we have a true piece of three-dimensional geometry. Let's do it one more time. Let's do these two guys. And you can do the extrusion on more than one selected component at a time. So once again, I'll return to my basic tools. Here's the extrude tool. I'll left-click inside the scene and use my action handles to get the result that I'm after. Now, if you know the specific values in which you want to extrude along, you're more than welcome and encouraged to place in those numeric values. At the core of every tool inside of Modo, there is a fantastic unit of measurement system, so we can have the same level of accuracy that our colleagues in the CAD world, the computer-aided design and drafting world, that use on a daily basis. It's kind of the exact same system, which is awesome. I love it. And believe it or not, not all 3D applications have this unit of measurement system built into every single tool. I, for one, really, really enjoy that. Now, when you're working with the extrusion tool, it's really important to remember that whatever is selected is going to be extruded. I want to take a step back here for a second, and I'm going to actually, let's just hit undo. Get everything back into our three-dimensional shape, or excuse me, our two-dimensional shape. Now, earlier I was selecting these polygons. But remember our workflow here, okay? Whatever is selected is going to be changed. If nothing is selected, everything is going to get changed. So with that said, notice what happens to my three-dimensional scene when I don't choose to select any sort of polygon inside of my three-dimensional scene and fire off the extrude tool. Once again, I simply left-clicked in the scene. I'll extrude it along the x-axis, and haha, look at that. Pretty cool, huh? We've extruded all the components at the exact same length along the x-axis simultaneously, which is both good and bad. Now, it's good because we preserved that the size of these two pieces down here are the same, which is kind of really what I want. However, these wheels are just way too big. Now we need to start using some additional reference images to tell us the size of these wheels. So our backdrop item isn't enough. We have to kind of fill in the gaps, if you will, and get a more complete model from other reference images that I've supplied to you. More on that here in a minute. However, once these are made, these are just true pieces of three-dimensional geometry. I could go in and maybe fire off the scale tool, which is the R key on our keyboard, and continue editing this to get the result that I'm after, which is pretty cool. So something, I didn't go far enough, I think. Somewhere maybe right around there. And I think this top guy is even bigger than the others. Scale it out a little bit more like that. And now we're on our way. Starting to form what will ultimately be the dimensions of our groovy little coal car. Something like that. Now each one of these wheels the same way. Maybe just scaling them along the x-axis will give us the dimensions that we're after. Yeah, and there we go. We can move them across. Yeah, things are starting to look pretty good, okay? So the extrude tool, a powerful tool that you'll use all the time to very quickly transform two-dimensional pieces of geometry into three-dimensional pieces of geometry.